This is a 2017-2018 Science 8 recording on the White Cliffs of Dover. You will need two things to finish this summative. The first thing you will need is a copy of this article. If you do not have a copy of this article, you can turn to page 144 in your science book. The second thing that you will need is a copy of this worksheet that is called Unit Summative Project, Earth's Dynamic Systems. Please put your name at the top of the page along with the hour that you have science. Directions. The goal of this summative is to show how geological processes have shaped your geologic feature or landform. You will get 2 class periods to complete this summative. On day 1, you will complete the graphic organizer below with information about your assigned geologic feature. You will do this by researching your geologic feature using reliable and reputable websites. This is due Friday at start of class. The first thing that you need to do on this worksheet is you need to name your landform. The name of your landform is called the White Cliffs of Dover. Please write that now in the blank. The first information that we need to locate while we read is the location of the White Cliffs of Dover. Let's start reading now. Each day, visitors arrive along the wind-swept coast of southeast England to see one of Europe's most famous natural landmarks. Standing more than 300 feet tall, the White Cliffs of Dover separate the deep blue of the sea and the bright green of the land with a high wall of white rock. Known for both their striking beauty and rich history, the unique appearance of the cliffs is the product of unusual geology. Several natural processes combine to create this unique site, which has become an important symbol to people around the world. The White Cliffs of Dover are located in the county of Kent and stretch more than 8 miles along England's south coast, standing at the narrowest point of the English Channel, which separates Britain from the rest of the continent of Europe. The cliffs can be seen from France on a clear day. Due to their location, the Cliffs of Dover were often the first part of England that visitors and invaders saw as they made their way to the island. So we have our first pieces of information here, the location. So I need you to underline the part that says location in the county of Kent along England's south coast. And in the blank next to location, I need you to write a complete sentence describing the location of where the White Cliffs of Dover are. This sentence needs to be in your own words. If you need more time, please pause this recording. Next, I need you to skip the statement part, and we will come back to that. And I need you to start with the formation using 3 key terms. So basically, we need to figure out how the White Cliffs of Dover were made. What was the process or the steps in making these cliffs? Made from the seabed. The White Cliffs of Dover owe their unusual appearance to the substance they are made of, bright white chalk. You probably know chalk as the colorful stuff used to write on sidewalks or blackboards, but is also a naturally occurring substance. Chalk is actually a type of very soft rock made up of calcium carbonate mineral known as calcite. So that paragraph is telling us that these cliffs are made of chalk. Carbonate sediments form in deep ocean environments as a result of accumulation of the shells of tiny marine algae called coccolithophores. These single-cell algae live near the surface of the ocean as plankton. Much like land plants, coccolithophores use photosynthesis to make their own food. They also make an outer covering of calcium carbonate, plates known as coccoliths. Some species form large blooms on the surface of the ocean, and the shells of dead cells sink to the ocean floor. Other marine organisms that make calcium carbonate include corals, snails, clams, and crabs. Over millions of years, these shells accumulate and form thick layers of calcium carbonate that are compressed by the high pressure of the deep ocean. Eventually, these processes of deposition and compaction produce a type of soft sedimentary rock which we know as chalk. The chalk found in the White Cliffs of Dover was formed during the Cretaceous period, during the age of the dinosaurs. The Cretaceous period began around 145 million years ago and ended with the extinction of the dinosaurs around 65 million years ago. During this period, when the Tyrannosaurus walked Earth, most of the land that is now North Europe was deep at the bottom of the ocean. Over millions of years, the seafloor collected coccolith shells, which settled on the bottom as a deep layer of calcium carbonate ooze. As millions of years passed, these layers were compressed and buried beneath many new layers of sediments deposited above them. These processes produce thick bands of white chalk. Geological activity eventually lifted the chalk from the seafloor and created Dover's famous White Cliffs. Okay, guys, that was a lot of information. So the very first step is right here. I want you to put a 1 right here, where basically the land was deep at the bottom of the ocean. That's your first step in making the cliffs. So right here where it says number 1 formation, right here you need to write a complete sentence in your own words about how it was formed. What was the first step? The fact that this piece of land was under the ocean. It was underwater. So your second step is right here where it says this seafloor collected coccolith shells which settled at the bottom as a deep layer of calcium carbonate ooze. That's your second step. So your second step of how these cliffs were made, you need to write it right here. So here you are talking about how you have dead animal shells that are basically collecting on the bottom of this ocean floor. So your third step is where it says these layers were compressed and buried beneath many new layers of sediments deposited above them. So this is number 3. So basically what it's saying right here is you have this ocean, and at the bottom of this ocean you have these shells from these dead animals, and they're getting buried on top of each other. And all that weight is compressing it. And cementing it together into rock, basically a sedimentary rock called white chalk. So right here on number 3, you're going to write with the third step of the formation of those white cliffs of Dover. So in number 3, you're talking about the pressure of all those shells, compaction and cementing into a rock, which is number 4, which is a sedimentary rock. Which is chalk. And guys, I know that I wrote that on number 4, but you need to write that in a complete sentence in your own words. Finally, you have number 5, which says geological activity eventually lifted the chalk from the seafloor and created Dover's famous white cliffs. So that's number 5 step. So right here on number 5, you need to write a complete sentence about how the cliffs rised up out of the ocean because of geological uplifting. So you need to put that in a complete sentence. So the final step is that the cliff of Dover are not the same as they were millions of years ago when they rose out of the ocean, because we have weathering and erosion. So you have the rain and the wind and everything like that that's breaking those cliffs down into little pieces, and then those little pieces are being carried off into the ocean or some other place. So they're slowly being getting smaller, basically. So I need you to write that in a complete sentence in the 6th step of the formation of the cliffs. So I want to go back now to the statement. So you need to write the white cliffs of Dover. And they were formed as a result of, so first they were formed as sedimentary rock underneath the ocean. Then there was geologic uplifting that brought those sedimentary rocks up out of the ocean. But those cliffs are not the same as they were millions of years ago. And that's because we have weathering and erosion. So those cliffs are actually smaller than they were a long time ago. So next we need to define your 3 key terms. So there are lots of words that you could pick. You need to pick 3, and you need to define them in your own words. So you can use the words erosion or weathering or sediments or deposition or sedimentary rocks or wind erosion or water erosion. Again, you are going to pick 3 of those and define them in your own words. So the final section that you need to do is you need to have a written description of the appearance of the white cliffs of Dover. So in the beginning it looked like, and remember what it looked like was this area was under a very shallow ocean. So it looked like that. So in your own words, in complete sentences, you need to describe what is happening here. Then it changed and looked like, so remember in this area, you have the ocean still, and then all these creatures that died left their shells down at the bottom, and that weight caused them to compact and cement together to make a sedimentary rock called chalk. And somehow this got lifted up into cliffs above the water. So I need you to put that in words right here. Today it looks a little bit different. So you have your cliffs of Dover, right? And you have your ocean still. But now what happened is it's not as tall as it used to be because of weather and erosion. So it's gotten smaller than it used to be. So in your own words, I need you to describe what just happened. In the future, it will look like. So in the future, what's going to happen because of erosion and weathering? The cliffs are going to get even smaller than they are now. So they're not going to be as high because of weathering and erosion. So it's going to be even smaller or even shorter in height. End of recording.